People, I like to thanks everybody for watching this movie and people that have followed me. Today we're gonna do more of a modern history. I'm standing here today of those heroes of the past, like your Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Oliver Tambo, Chris Hani, Nelson Mandela, and then most of all, or above them all, is a man called Magobe. Magobe, this is his head that is being cut off in Magubu's kloof, which should actually be Magobe's kloof. And this was the ruling king there. Now, I've prepared this document, and it's called Ramagobe Letsatsi. Everybody that had claims during or after 1994, this include your mining magnates, Patrice Motsepe, Anglo-American, De Beers, Herzog, all those guys. All 524 mines belongs to this man. This includes your Royal Bafokeng, Pilani, everybody that's got game reserves that's in the part where this guy have ruled. Now, for you to challenge me, you have to break through this book. And it's tight. You will never break through it. It's tight. The references here are so tight, you won't be able to break through it. So this is not just a history lesson that I'm doing here, but it's going to be a court case against South African government. And the topic here today is rise or power to rise. Now, what I want to say before we do this video, this is not a political video or a political party, but the Magobe family seeks justice, and they seek to attract attorney or a firm of attorney that can take on this case, the matter of this case, to court. This is regards to the land claims, but it's not just any land claim. The land claim that we brought here forward is for 95% of the country, which is now called South Africa. Now, what I say is South Africa, it excludes Cape and the Eastern Cape. I haven't got data for those, but everything in this book that I've prepared here for the attorneys, or the material that's here, we claim everything on it, from Mpumalanga, Limpopo, Northwest, the Transvaal, Pretoria, Free State, Western Cape, and what is now Northern Cape. Now, the Magobe family, with this claim, we're going to recall all the land post-1994. That is from against the Royal Bafokeng, Pilanis Bagatla, Makululeke or Makululeka, Magopa, Ramakoka, Makau Motsepe, Ramaphosa's Palapala, and all other private games reserve within the borders of South Africa. This includes the Kruger National Park. This is the case that we've got here. I'm standing here today on the broad shoulders of those ancient guys that used to fight to be recognized. Such people as in South Africa, it's all of them, Tambo, Nelson Mandela, Chris Hani. And abroad, it's Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and on the Mahobes Kings, soldiers that I'm standing here today proudly presenting this document. But it can be further said, the further a society drifts from the truth, the more it will hate those who speak it. That's a quote from Selvin Duke. Now, the ANC has gotten a tendency with the word struggle. They were the only people that were in the struggle. Let's clarify this word struggle. It's to make violent movements in trying to break free from restraint. 2, to make great efforts, especially against difficulties or opposition. 3, struggle for survival, existence, struggle for life, or people trying to gain a living. Now, the way the ANC behave looks like they are, or were the only people in the struggle, and the masses or the masses were left behind, were never part of it. We local, so the local, this that we enjoyed now, it was the masses of the people, local and international, that have put pressure on the apartheid government that we enjoy today. So it's not only you guys that call yourself the ANC. It's for the people. And then you remember in my previous video, I say there is no such thing that people should have loved or love today in poverty, struggle with work, and all of those. So this means getting to the top means taking one step at a time, managing, maneuvering, manipulating your way from one stepping stone to the next. Most stepping stones or people who offer opportunities or obstruction. But when nices are not alone, doesn't work. A little nastiness must be applied. Now, behind me, I've got a very beautiful thing before I go in it. It's got coordinates. Now, before I go there, if people can contact me. There's my name. There's my cell phone number, 071-1431-453. And if it's international, you use +27. There's my email address, teddysnyders10111@gmail.com. Now, Malema has got a tendency, or other people also got a tendency, but Malema is the worst.
Deal with is the issue of the land. We shouldn't shy away from it. The land is in the hands of the minorities, and we know, and you know that history better than me. And we have agreed that willing buyer, willing seller is not working. Mr. President, the policy of willing buyer, willing seller, which you adopted, it was going to be good if our people had money, they will buy. But even when our people have money, Mr. President, and there is no willing seller, they won't buy. Because there must be a willing seller to be the willing buyer. So you don't have the money, you cannot buy. Okay. Even when you have the money, there is no willing seller. Therefore, the land remains in the hands of the minorities.
He says, I want land, or we want land. Now, what land is he referring to? Because he's not family of the Mahobes family. No, is he related to the Mahobes family. Now, what I'm going to give you now makes it case closed. It doesn't need to talk about land anymore. And most other organizations or parties doesn't need to talk about land anymore. If you want to assist, you are welcome to back me or fund us so that we can take this thing to court. With the attorneys that we ask because we are in poverty, there's no money to take this matter into court. The attorneys needs to do it on pro bono. And with that, if there's any richest people out there that wants to do this thing, so what I'm standing here, or what we stand here for, everybody, it doesn't matter your race, your color, Indian, German, Sotho, Swatswana, wherever you come, we are one. Whether you are Afrikaner, I'm standing behind you. Nobody's going to take that land from you. Because even Malema is a farmer. If this thing goes through, must I take his land from him? His farm from him? No. Because on that farm, he produced food that me and you's gonna eat. The same with the Afrikaners, they produce food that you and me is enjoying today. So we're not gonna go hunger. So on this thing, why I'm so bullish about the land belongs, 95% of this country belongs to Makgobe. Without a doubt, Yezi, Makgobe coordinates South Africa, Limpopo. There's the latitude, south, there's the longitude. And with this, it claims the whole of Limpopo, everything under the umbrella of Limpopo. That includes the Kruger National Park, Venetia Mine, De Beers Consolidated, which Maluleka have claimed falsely. Right, next. Number 2, Makgobe's coordinates, South Africa, Northwest. There's the longitude, there's everything that's there. It claims the platinum mines, anything that is a mine there, the private games reserve, like I say, Pilanesberg, Madikwe, everything is included here. The Makgobe claims it. There's also everything in Northwest, Mafeking, Potchefstroom, everything belongs to Makgobe. Coordinates number 3, Makgobe's coordinates, South Africa, that is Kuruman. There's the geographical coordinates. It claims everything that's now Northern Cape. So even those white monopoly there that call themselves Orania, we will recall that claim, and it needs to be readdressed in a court. With this evidence, they need to claim, why are they saying that's their father's land and they are Orania? So without further ado, all these people that have claimed Orania, that have claimed this, that have claimed that, as the institute, is all fraudulent. No one supposed to have a title deed. Title deed is a European concept. If you were to come out 1994 and you present your court case, it should say traditionally what my fathers have owned. You cannot produce a title deed. I'll come to that section. Now, the Makgobe family also lay claim of the land that was fraudulently false obtained during the British colonized rule, that have annexed the land what is now Northern Cape. Now, annex, if you look at the word annex, it means I rob you. I forcefully take the land from you and I put it under the Cape. That's what they have done. Cape is a small country. When they annex, they put it under the Northern Cape. So now they've come here and they've tampered with the geographical position of the country or the map. Those Cecil John Rhodes and the Oppenheimers and the Ruperts. And everything that you see, it's Kimberley, Lord Kimberley, Lord this, Sir this, it Caledon, Sir Caledon. All these are British people. And it have never been changed. Why didn't the ANC change it? We'll come to that. The country now called Orania, they had a court case and they've won the case in court. And why they are now only a white country, they have done what they've called a self-determination. So now, this self-determination, like I said, when we have appointed attorney, we will recall those land and we will challenge it. Even the president land that is called was his father's Pala Pala. It will be recalled. Malema, your farm again, the second farm now will be recalled. And then all of you need to challenge what's in this document. All 524 mines. This includes your Kimberley gold mine that the Oppenheimers of De Beers have sold to whoever the secondary owners are now. You need to put in your claim, or you need to sue the Oppenheimers or De Beers, because I'm going to recall that land back. Now, so the world needs to know that all gold, diamonds, platinum, everything that's been delved here in South Africa or Southern Africa is blood. It's stolen. They haven't got the right, or the Makgobe family hasn't given them the right, because the Makgobe family is left out of this whole thing. So everything is blood diamonds, blood gold, blood platinum. As the coordinates showed you here, everything belongs to Makgobe. There's no title deeds. They haven't signed nothing. That's why the Makgobe family is poor today. And it needs to be challenged. That's even that Indian or Muslim guy, Mia's farm in Midrand. Everything needs to be recalled. So nobody will be under the loop, go free under this loop. Now, what I say also is, you have Ashanti Gold, and you have this one, and you have that one, all of them. I'm not picking on just one individual, but I'm taking on everybody that owns a mine, whether it's Lonman Mine, which is the Queen's Mine, which is in Crown Mines, which is the Queen's Mine. It was not her from the beginning, and it was not Cyril's from the beginning. It was not Patrice Motsepi's from the beginning. It was not Herzog's from the beginning. So when this thing is win in court, the Makgobe family won't be able to run all 524 mines. Some will be sold to new generous owners. You will be scrutinized when you buy this thing. And then the land's name is also going to be changed. It will be no more South Africa. It will be Makgobe Letsatsi like it used to be. Now, why this study is so bullish? It must be because all this is regarding references and facts. Now, I want to go to the new or the modern history. You remember I used to say, in those ones that followed me, I say, go ask, what's his name? Ramaphosa about the meeting at 10 Bomb Plus. Now, how I obtained these documents is very interesting. These things I got it in what we've called Johannesburg Library. The spirit of the Magobe, that king that you saw, his head is chopped off, is with me. Always with me. Whether you can see him here or you don't see him, he's always with me. His spirit is always with me. Wherever I go, miracles happen. When I've done my research, when I went to the Johannesburg Library, if I've asked for certain books or books that I've got names here from, and I went to Johannesburg and I sat there, and when the clerk helped me there, or the librarian helped me there, or the historian helped me there, they couldn't find what I've been looking for, but somehow the computer matched something and they've sent me 3 floors down in the basement, some basement there. But this is not a book. It's boxes. Boxes where they've kept files, loose papers, and it's in there, and it's documented in the old typewriters. That one that you type, so the secretaries and that ribbon, it's type in that format. And in there, I found documents related to the 1976 riot. And it's typed in Afrikaans, perfect Afrikaans, of the apartheid boers that time. And they've asked in this letter, they say they have apologized for the 1976 riot, and they thank the police force, the army, the ambulance people, the fire department. They've thanked everybody for bringing the peace to this land. And what they have also stated there is they've asked sorry for the people, or the African people, if I may say so, or everybody that's non-white, that does include ourselves. Now, what they've also stated there is they've given the ANC government 500,000 each year for. And most of your presidents and people that have ruled have never mentioned this to us. Those 500,000 that time was a lot of money, so they were supposed to build up Soweto, the shops. People, our fathers or forefathers that owned shops that most of us have burned it down. We didn't have. That's why I don't like riots and follow this thing of when we march, it must be a peaceful march. We mustn't burn shops. So this was all those, everything that was burned. This money was supposed to rebuild it. So if your father's shop was burned, or his land was taken where his shops was, you can sue the government for that, because they have stolen the money that was for you in your father's shop to rebuild it up. So this is the documents that I've received in those boxes down there. And also, what I've been reading here, it's also the same, right? I'm calling this one Top Secret 1. I'm going to read from it. SA business is an economic in which 80% is dominated by Anglo, the Oppenheimers, Rembrandt, the Ruperts, Liberty, the Gordons, Anglo-Val, the Menels, and the Herzogs, and all run by imperial dynasties. Capitalism has been able to endure, flourish in SA because the ANC duped it at the negotiations table pre-1994. One can't help but wonder how the issue could have escaped the big brains of the ANC. But Ronnie Kasrils, as he was part of the ANC negotiation team, explained it better how all happened. Others don't have the appetite to tell the nation about the turn of events in the CODESA 1, CODESA 2. According to Moletsi Mbeki, BEE was conceptual by white orchestrated co-op leaders of black resistance movement by literally buying them off. In return, the black political elite undertook to protect the means of production from nationalize and give them preference treatment. That's why the TRC have failed. None of the presidents want to talk about the CODESA, the truth. So they have lied. Now, no revolution can be victorious, unless the necessary objective condition of subjective factors are present. The objective conditions of revolution are economical and social political requisites that take shapes regardless of the will of the people in political parties. The combination of objective conditions under which the revolution can be accomplished are called a revolutionary situation. There are three main indicators of revolutionary situations. First, the crisis at the top of the policy of the ruling class, which unable to retain its rule by the old methods. Second, in the extreme of want, misery amongst the oppressed classes. Third, a considerably increased activities of the popular masses that refuse to tolerate bondage and lack of political rights. A revolutionary situation can be also caused by economic upheaval and failure of government policies. Right, now here it becomes very, 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 very good. It's on record that the ANC inherited a bankrupt state when it took power in 1994. They had to pay the apartheid loan. Our gold reserves were shipped off to Geneva, Switzerland, and to London. It amounted to trillions of American dollars. The clerk has some gained from this transaction, and it's held in Luxembourg. His fortune is worth trillions of rands. There is a book or a court case about this called CX report. Even Barclays Bank ripped off the state of trillions of rand. They subsequently changed the name to ABSA. This was the time where the ANC was made stupid and the National Party utilized Project Grapevine to perpetuate white economic power. Our gold reserves are still in Switzerland, in London. Now, it doesn't matter how you change your government. If the Mahobe takes over, that reserve stays there. Nobody touches the reserve. The reserve is for the people. Now, Mandela knows about it. Thabo Mbeki knows about it. Zuma knows about it. Ramaphosa knows about it. And nobody have done nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Now, in this matter, now sorry for Ramaphosa now for ruling. It all gonna fail now on the last president because he inherited now all those corruption to him. And now it makes sense why Ramaphosa acted in the way he acts. For he is the CEO of the country and not the president. Our country is on the stock exchange and was registered as a business under British South African company with all 5 presidents has sold us out as human beings and colonial has not stepped aside. For the colonial masters are still in control of our land and minerals. All those guys that we're talking about now, your Herzogs, your Oppenheimers, they come in from that time, people. And they are here today and their children are still here and they continue this legacy of stealing our resources. Failing to present or produce the CX report, but you must remember the CX report has got the attention by the public protector, what's his name, that have now been cast out, Mokobane. Why Busishiwe Mokobane? Why have she been cast out? Because she have fiddled with this. And according to them, this thing must lie and be dead and be buried. Why? It have just said we have inherited a bankrupt state. How did Cyril become a billionaire? How did Patrice become a billionaire? How did Tokyo becomes a billionaire? They were part of this scheme, the CX report, and there was funds coming in. The next is a material that came very late, but what we're going to do, we have edited it into our existing video, and it's very, very important matter to the subject of our presidents. So this is a bumper. Put your safety belt on and have an airbag in front of you. I've just changed the topic and I've called it Wolf in Sheep Clothes. The spy, the betrayal, the thief, and this information comes from Heather Muller. She says, let me explain it like this. Cyril Ramaphosa and Johan Rupert were friends prior to the 1994 election. You will be aware that Cyril was recruited to Urban Foundation by Manel, the Oppenheimer, and the Rupert families. Cyril Ramaphosa is an alumni of African American Institute funded by the Ford Foundation, stroke CIA, and Rockefeller family. Johan Rupert worked for David Rockefeller during the apartheid. Rockefeller family was the largest creditor of apartheid regime. Patrice Motsepe, Tokyo Sexwale were recruited to the Senegos Institute by Peggy Dulany, daughter of David Rockefeller. Peggy Dulany served on the board of African Institutes. Cyril is alumni of that. Cyril Ramaphosa delivered by the David Rockefeller Lecture of Councils on Foreign Relations, which Rockefeller founded. Cyril Ramaphosa and Johann Rupert both joined World Economic of Klaus Schwab's 1993. Klaus Schwab was mentored by Henry Kissinger, the right-hand man of David Rockefeller. Klaus Schwab was mentored by Henry Kissinger, the right-hand man of David Rockefeller. Patrice Motsepe, on board of trustees of World Economic Forum. Patrice Motsepe, part 2, Bill Gates program. Giving pledge, breaking through energy. Patrice, largest donor to EFF, Julius Malema. Patrice Motsepe, business partner of Johann Rupert, EFF, claim to fight against. Now all these people, whether you vote ANC, whether you vote EFF, whether you vote what, all these guys are behind there and they fight each other to make us fools. They don't fight. It's like that wrestling competition. They don't fight actual fights. It's actors. They just put a nice act in front of us. So all these guys, they wine and dine together. Julius Malema went on EFF UK tour to meet Stephen Kossep of Investec, Rob Hersov, and Lord trained by Johann Rupert. Lord Ruben Renwick, an advisor of Johann Rupert Richmond. Chatham House itself, where Julius Malema made speeches, is funded by the Rothschild and Bill Melinda Gates Foundation, among other deep states Illuminati founders. I'm going to also bring in this document to highlight it against, or here somewhere around me, or maybe I'll be in the back of it while I read it. Patrice Motsepe, a legacy champion of Nelson Mandela Foundation with 3 other associates of Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, and David Rockefeller. Now, one thing about this Nelson Mandela Fund, people of Orlando, of us people in Meadowlands, of us people in Noordgesig, this foundation, Children Foundation, it never come to our children's aid. Never. Since the Mandela started or come out of jail till up to now, never. So it's also just a front. Why all this money is coming and it goes to the families. David Rockefeller appointed Jeffrey Epstein on board of the Rockefeller University. Epstein also served as Counsel of Foreign Relations and Trilateral Commission, both founded by the members of the Rockefeller family. Rob Hersov was director of Serpentine Trust, located in Serpentine Gallery in UK, which hosted events associated with Jeffrey Epstein Edge Foundation. Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Sergey Brin, Pierre Omadeira, all attended billionaire dinners hosted by the Edge Foundation. Now, this billionaire dinners, I'm going to bring a video after this where our friend Dr. Shiva, a beautiful video
Good evening, everyone. It's Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. How a very small set of people control 8 billion people. This is what I call the elites. Let's say there's about 10,000 of them. How is it these people are able to manipulate the 8 billion people here? If you talk to a lot of naive people, they think, oh, it's the Rothschilds over here, or it's the aliens. They don't understand. It's not any one individual. It's not any one organization. There's something called swarm intelligence. If you watch all those birds flying together, not any one of them is in control. They move together as a unit. They're closely knit. They're quote unquote telepathic, but they move with a singular goal. The goal of the elites here is power, profit, and control. This is the goal. So if we look at it from a control system, what are the inputs they're sending into this system to achieve their goals? And what is the output that they seek? So if you're an elite over here and you're looking at those 8 billion people, how do you know you're achieving your goal? Are people getting fat, meaning unhealthy? Are people getting dumb, which means ignorant? Are people happy, which means are they being entertained? Are people divided? Are they isolated, disconnected? They don't want people here connecting with each other. Are people feeling helpless? Are people looking to the elites to save them? And they like that. They like when people here are looking to them, the enemy here, for their saviors. They really love that. They want people to be disorganized, and they definitely want people to be helpless. This is what they want. If you do not want to unite among people here and find who your own leaders are from below, they are quite happy. They're achieving their goal. Power, profit, and control. Now, how do they do this? You're going to realize it's not any one group. It's an interconnected, tightly knit group. They're all closely interconnected. In fact, they all go to the same restaurants. They have all their kids going to the same equestrian shows. They all shop at the same place. They all go to the same parties. You're not part of that. So who are these people? And what are the institutions of power that they have? Well, first of all, they have academia. Harvard, Oxford, Yale, MIT, IIT in India, the top 100 university presidents. These people are on boards of companies, but it's about 100 people who run the major universities in the world. NGOs, or nonprofits. These are people who run these huge nonprofit organizations like the Clinton Global Initiative, WEF, World Economic Forum, Center for Foreign Relations. And there's many other institutions like these, but it's the CEOs of these institutions. And these guys know each other. They definitely work together. The next thing you have is you have government, US senators, prime ministers of countries, advisors to government, think tanks, the Belfer School at Harvard, the Stanford Internet Observatory. They created the censorship infrastructure. This includes CIA, right? Intelligence organizations. And again, all these people know each other. They're interconnected. They're a swarm. They're tightly knit. They're not divided like these people over here. They're not disconnected. They're highly interconnected. So these people are focused on power. But then you also have a whole nother people, the CEOs of the global 2,000 companies, other big organizations like big pharma companies, Pfizer, big agriculture companies like Syngenta, big investment companies, JP Morgan. You put Deutsche Bank here. You put Epstein down here. Okay, he was involved in all this. You also have the Fed, the central banks. All these people party together. When I say party together, I mean literally they party together, guys. Absolute close-knit friends. And in fact, the CEO of a global 2,000 company will easily move to one of the investment companies down here. If you look at Target, big companies like Anheuser-Busch and Exxon, you'll find that at one point they were in one of these investment companies, and these investment companies sit on the board of these companies, and they shuffle back and forth. So this is all about making money, right? These people are about making the dollar. These people are all about power. This is profit. And then fundamentally, you have control. Hollywood over here. This includes celebrities. You have their agents, Hollywood agents, like Ari Emanuel, as I've talked about, who's a guy who controls most of Hollywood. He controls Worldwide Wrestling Federation, the MMA, etc. The media companies. This includes Disney, Viacom. This includes now Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. These are large media companies. Google, you can put in there also. You also have big news stations, CNN, Fox. And combined with this, now we have another group, social media influencers. This is like Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, these characters who have come in, but they do not exist without support from these guys. If you notice, overnight, a bunch of social media influencers have come out of nowhere. And these people are created by these people. So when you look at this, the academics, the NGOs, the government, the think tanks, the investment companies, the Fed, the big pharma, the CEOs, the Hollywood celebrities, media, social media influencers, and the news companies, and you can even take the top 10 of each one of these, they all know each other, everyone. And in order to manipulate these people, they need front men to manipulate these people with policies, because what comes out are policies. These are the inputs they put into the system, propaganda. They feed these people purposely, people who they tell them are going to save them, like the Elon Musks or Trump or the Kennedys. Now, who are the people part of the swarm that does that? They have the obvious establishment. And these people are like the Clintons or the McConnells or the Obamas or the Bushes or the Queen of England. Typically people say, oh yeah, those guys are part of the establishment. But one of the things we teach at Truth Freedom Health, the most insidious people are what I call the not so obvious establishment. These are the people that are created to make sure that the 8 billion people look to the elites to save them. Trump, he's got a golden toilet. Mar-a-Lago, Kennedy's, completely bogus family. You can look at historically people like Gandhi or people like MLK. These people all came and were endorsed by the swarm. These people do not exist. They live in Malibu. They live in the places of the elites. And these people are the ones that are used to send the inputs of this controller. In system science, these are the controllers. These are the people controlling the inputs that go in. And remember, their goal is to make sure people are in the state of division, disconnection, and helplessness, particularly. They're observing all this. They have their sensors. And one of the features that they notice is that as long as people are in dysfunction and diseased mentally, physically, emotionally, they're happy. Well, what are those diseases these days? We see obesity. We see endocrine disruption, men with low testosterone, and people questioning their sexuality. We also see people with cancer. The world's population's life expectancy is going down. The United States is going this way, and this is from 1980 to 2020. They like this. This is life expectancy. In fact, when they see dysfunction, you know what they do? They put another input in, which is normalize the dysfunction. Eat sugars and high fructose food. Well, over here, people have been literally getting fat. It's led to obesity. Or they've been putting in foods that are affecting people's gut microbiome. This is what I call from policy to biology. People are getting worse and worse. They're actually making more money because the obesity now creates obesity drugs. The endocrine disruptors, let's talk about this. This will really explain what's going on with Bud Light. About 20 years ago, there was research done at the universities that clearly showed the use of restricted use pesticides like atrazine and other chemicals in the atmosphere actually cause endocrine disruption, which could reduce male testosterone, which could also affect mammals where the sex organs can change. And this was done by the work of Tyrone Hayes. So if you're over here at a university and you find out one of your researchers discovered that, and you are playing golf with people over here at Syngenta is the one who produced atrazine, they're going to say, hey man, we don't want this research coming out, because you have to understand something. The investment community here is investing in all of these companies. So if you're one of these large investment companies, you're moving trillions of dollars. $600 trillion, by the way, move through the economy every day. You as one of the elites managers of money, you're moving all this money. You know all of these people. You know the CEO of Target, you know the CEO of Anheuser-Busch, you know the CEO of Pfizer and Syngenta. And imagine that you see, wow, the stuff that we've been creating is causing sexual disruption changes. You're seeing a phenomenon where more and more people are questioning their sexuality. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that the general public doesn't understand this, because if they did, they would awaken to something that's going on from the decisions you made. So you call up your friend at Bud Light, he goes, hey, look, let's run a campaign. Let's normalize trans. Let's exploit a willing person to be exploited like this Dylan Mulvaney. Let's put them on as a poster boy for Bud Light, and let's push them out there because we want the attention to normalize a dysfunction, because the goal is to make sure they don't lose their trillions over in Syngenta. They're willing to take $1 billion hit over here, but they want to save their trillions in big pharma and big ag, because they're all part of the same family. They all do favors for each other. And then again, you would go do it at Target. You try to normalize it because you don't want people over here to understand the bigger picture. But you are interconnected. You could strike deals left and right. Let's do a marketing campaign in here. Let's normalize. Same thing if you can look at what's going on in obesity. All these pharma companies are making big money from obesity drugs, but there's movies on Netflix and Amazon promoting fat people as a norm. What's happening over here, you have people who are pro-fat and people who are anti-fat people. You have people who are pro-woke and anti-woke, and they don't care. So you have a bunch of these idiots writing books against woke companies and anti-woke companies. You have people creating apps, only shop at anti-woke companies, don't go to woke companies. But you guys understand that these guys don't give a damn? They're making money anyway. The investment bankers are going to make money from woke companies and anti-woke companies. But what's occurring here is people are being divided. These guys are happy because they're inputting policies and propaganda. People here are being divided, and that is the goal, to achieve power, profit, control. So as long as these people work together as a swarm to control the policies and the propaganda, and they provide false heroes, and they're using the Trumps, the Kennedys, and Gandhis, all of them who talk a big game, their goal is to make sure that you you never understand this, that you keep thinking, oh, Kennedy's going to solve the problem. Trump is going to solve the problem. They don't want you to be leaders in your own communities. They want you to outsource your future to people like Trump or Kennedy because they're part of the swarm. And you keep getting more unhealthy, more ignorant, more entertained. But most importantly, you are divided. People